Welcome back to episode 3 of Ready Steady Build. If you were planning on taking part in submitting your creation, I'm afraid the lines are now closed. Do not phone in as your vote will not be counted, but you still may be charged. Oh wait, that's not right. But in all seriousness, no more submissions are being accepted. So thanks to everyone who has uploaded their builds, I look forward to seeing them. This week's guest is a bit of an unexpected one. And I say unexpected because this person doesn't actually stream Planet Coaster. I know, a dark horse. UndeadClockworksCo is a DayZ streamer who, when he gets tired of shooting zombies, likes to chill out in Planet Coaster. And he just so happens to be rather good at it. UndeadClockworksCo, hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm not doing too badly, thank you.
Good.
For a sunny afternoon.
It is quite sunny here in lovely UK.
It is.
So first question, I asked this to Spag last week, so I figure I may as well ask you as well.
Yes.
Where did your name come from?
UndeadClockworksCo. Right, well, there's a bit of a story behind that. Long time ago, I always had a thing for mechanicals, animatrons and things like that. And I came to the conclusion that the way that my brain works sometimes is very mechanical in a way.
Yeah.
And I was actually sat in a tattooist's, believe it or not, thinking of my next tattoo. And I came up with this idea of having the inside of my head being on display.
Yeah.
And bear with me on this. I've actually got 2 tattoos, one on each side of my head. One on the left is actually, it looks like a closed panel with 4 screws in it. And on the right is actually an open panel where you can see a lot of clockwork.
Oh, cool.
Defunct clockwork, you see. And as I was sat there, I thought, well, I could actually celebrate the year of my birth. So out of the fact that I was in the chair, I'd got the inkwork going in on the side of my head, I thought, well, the cogs don't actually move, do they? They won't move, you won't see them. And I was talking to my tattooist and I said, how does Undead Clockwork Company sound to you? And they, why? And I said, well, you can see the inside of my head. Someone is going to say that they're not moving. Well, if they're not moving, then I've obviously rusted.
Yeah.
If I've rusted, but I'm still moving, I've got to be undead. And because they're clockworks, I was made at the Undead Clockwork Company. And he said, oh, okay, so Undead Clockworks Co. So he actually put that on the closed they put that on the closed panel. And I said, can you put the year of my birth on after it? He said, yes, certainly. So on one side of my head, literally on one side of my head, I've got Undead Clockworks Co. 1970 because that is the year of my birth. So that was my manufacturer's year. So yeah, that's how the name became. And I've had to explain that several times to people in the supermarket queue, where they've sort of like looked and goes, oh, is that the inside of your head? And I'm like, well, yeah, but the cogs aren't moving. Well, look on the other side of my head and you'll see that I'm part of the Undead Clockworks Company. And they're like, oh, right, so you're a zombie. And hence why I'm sort of a mechanical zombie that predominantly plays zombie games in my spare time.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. I think with something like a tattoo, you have to be sure, or have a story at least to go with it.
Yeah. Well, plus the fact it sort of made up for the fact that at the time I was having follicle issues and self-confidence. So because I'd actually lost my mohawks due to follicle issues, right. I had inkwork done on my head instead because I used to have twin mohawks.
Oh wow!
Almost in homage of Keith Flint.
Yeah, sure.
From Prodigy. So.
No, that's really cool.
But we've changed a bit since then.
Well, no, I think it's a really nice sentiment that you kind of swapped one out for the other. It's really cool. I suppose at some point we should probably talk about your build. So, did you when I set you the challenge, did you go into it with an idea of what you were going to do, or?
I'll be perfectly honest with you. I don't really tend to think of an awful lot of things when I make a start on on builds like this, I tend to sort of like go with the flow. I mean, you'll see as I'm doing this, there's a lot of moving bits about and trying to get things looking right. I don't tend to build very quickly. I tend to work on more intricate projects. So this was quite a challenge for me. Very nerve-wracking, I will say. And
well, you cope very well.
Well, thank you. I know I was being watched.
You had an audience
by yourself and others. I did have an audience whilst doing this. So obviously that was something. Again, I don't. When I play within Planet Coaster, I tend to sort of it's what I call a private pleasure. So my creations, as you're spinning the camera around, you might have caught a quick glimpse of some of the things that were in the background there.
I think I saw your Alton Towers build.
Yeah, so there's various bits and pieces that I tend to build for myself more than anything. I have put a few bits on the workshop now because you told me to, but yeah, I tend to build a lot slower. So this build itself was stressful. I will admit, because obviously I was having to think rather quickly. But
was it more the limited pieces or the time constraints?
I think it was more a case of I was watching the clock because I'd actually got a timer going, and it almost felt like school exams. You know, you write your name on a piece of paper, and you're told to write an essay, and you have 1 hour to write it.
Oh God, I'm sorry I've made you feel that way.
No, not at all. Trauma from school. Yeah,
PTSD.
But it was one of those things that I thought, no, I can do this. And as I was going through it, you can see the certain shape of the building and the certain style. That actually derived from a memories that I actually had as a child. Obviously, I'm of slightly maturer age. 70s child, 80s teen.
Sure.
I remember going to places like Whipsnade, Safari Park, and West Midlands Safari Park, and places like Drayton Manor and Alton Towers before Alton Towers was as big as it is now.
Yeah.
I remember going the first year when the corkscrew actually was launched, and we were allowed, my father went on it, I was slightly too small, I didn't quite meet the height requirement, but we actually parked on the lawn right next to the lake in front of the manor house itself.
Oh, wow.
So there wasn't a public car park, there wasn't anything else, everybody put their picnic blankets down, things like that. And the style of this building that I did was very reminiscent of the sort of style of building that you saw in those places at that time.
Yeah.
In that time period. The large log brick type fascias, low, quite simple, and it brought back a memory, and that's what I thought I'd like to build for that split moment. That's what sprung to mind, and I thought, yeah, I'll go with it. Yes, there is within this build, you've obviously got drinks and you've got fries, because that was predominantly what you'd have. You'd have an ice cream stall as well a bit further down. I've only done 2 within the complex, but something like this would probably have another section with an ice cream, a little ice cream outlet on there. But there was always a toilet block just around the back or just to the side. So yeah, that's the way I sort of went with this particular build.
No, it's really nice, and I also love what you did with the decking for the seating at the front.
Thank you.
I did try to get some benches sunk in there for the guests, but they wouldn't sit on them. So.
Oh dear. But that was the idea, yeah. So when it was finally placed, you could actually put seats under there for the guests to sit in. Yeah, you can see here. I was actually, for some reason, struggling with the whole height of the unit. Again, that was probably down to the fact that I was looking at the clock and panicking. I mean, that big concrete slab that I put down in front I have no clue why I ended up putting that. I think I was going to do a plaza, and then the building suddenly popped into my head, and I thought, no, this is how I want to go.
Sure, yeah.
To keep it simple, I didn't use an awful lot of the pieces that you provided, but the pieces you provided were more than adequate for the style of build that I wanted to do.
Good.
And I will say that, as stressful as it was for me, it was it was enjoyable.
That's good to hear. I'm glad it wasn't completely terrible. No, I think the design, the style of the build, it really reminds me for some reason of the wings, on like a pink Cadillac, then like the tail end.
Oh, with the winged, yes, on where they have the indicators and things, yes,
yeah.
And the lights.
Yeah. But no, it's a really nice build. I really like the style.
Oh, thank you.
What was the hardest part for you? I know you've mentioned time constraints, but
the audience. No.
Well, because obviously you don't stream Planko on Twitch, but you stream this in Discord.
I streamed this in Discord, yes. I have done I did do a couple of streams of this on Twitch when I first came back to streaming, because I took a year out due to personal questions. Sure. But I did do a couple with it, but because I found that because I was actually I'm very methodical, and I tend to do very intricate pieces, repetitive, as you've seen, circular builds and things like that.
Yeah, I think I've often heard you complaining about trying to get the what was it?
Helter Skelter.
Yeah. Trying to get that done.
The angles on a standard Helter Skelter that you see at a travelling fun fair, the big white metal box ones.
Yeah.
That's easy because it's one helix.
Yeah, sure.
One angle going all the way up. The struggle was when I was doing the other one, which is a Victorian one. It tapers as it goes up, so you're not only just working with the reduction in circumference, you've also got to work with 3 different angles onto a flat plane. And unfortunately, as good and as wonderful as Planet Coaster is, you can't quite get it right. And I'm not one for liking clipping.
No, me neither.
Or bits and pieces like that. So I mean, even there, you can see that I placed the signs in and they're the right height. So I pulled one round to get it to sit in the right place. But
no, I think I'm very much the same. Like sometimes you just want to kind of sit down, have a session where you just like, I'll take as long as I want just to get this one build perfectly, just how I want it, precisely on your own. Yeah,
it's a private pleasure.
Would you bring it to Twitch? No pressure.
If there are,
obviously.
Well, no, there are other people that would like to see me stream it, and I think that moving forward, I probably will.
Exciting.
But
you heard
they
it
will
here
be.
First.
Thank you. They probably will, but they won't. It won't be complete parks. It'll be things like this, where I do specific one-off type builds, because I have built a park which I call my practice park, and that's where I've practiced some of my techniques for custom roofing, landscaping, and structural things as well. So, but I tend to work most of the time, as you see in within this video, on a blank canvas, and just do solitary builds.
Well, I think a lot of people that watch Planet Coaster streams are in it because it's a very relaxing thing to watch, and people just enjoy watching that kind of thing.
Yes.
And I think Cockwaddle said the other day that we're very much like the new generation of model train enthusiasts, I think.
Very much so.
And
very much so.
I think you're very good at that kind of thing, and people want to see it. So.
Oh, well, thank you.
Okay, one last question.
Yes.
Are you happy with your final build?
Truthfully?
Yep.
No. But
I think that's normal.
But I am for what it is. I like it as a structure, and I think it would work very well within a particular themed area of any sort of park, really.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it looks really nice. So before we finish and we watch your lovely cinematics, where can people find you?
They can find me on Twitch. I am UndeadClockworksCo. I stream on a Tuesday, Thursday evening at 6 p.m. UK time, and on a Saturday morning, if not either Saturday or Sunday morning, from about 8 o'clock till noon UK time. Amazing. Very good. Well, thank you very much for being a part of this series, Undead. Thank you for having me. Thank you for asking.